Here comes a new challenger!
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Ryu analysis. Now, I know I made an April Fool's joke about it last time, but this is the real deal. And so, I've been meaning to talk about Ryu because I personally feel that a lot of people downplay this character for various reasons. Let's talk about comparing him to Ken, for instance. Ken got the crazy combos, as they say, right? Ryu don't got crazy combos. He does. I mean, you just have to, know how to play him. But Ken got the crazy combo. He put you best spot, and he hit you a lot, and you fly everywhere, and you lose your stock early. And what people don't really understand is that when it comes to Ken, the issues are his long strings, because with other characters, usually, you gotta account for DI, SDI, but with Ken, as long as you know how to SDI his combos, he really won't get that much damage on you, and oftentimes he really won't put you in a bad position. And at other times, they even buffed some of his moves that can end up being detriment to him, and I'll get into that when I get to the Ken analysis eventually. But for right now, I should just say that Ryu is essentially a more consistent character who at times can kill even earlier than Ken, and does a lot of what Ken can do from a either farther distance. And Ken has no neutral. I mean, he has a neutral, but compared to Ryu, I would say he's definitely not that great. You know what I mean? But yeah. And then comparing him to Terry, I feel a lot of people just overhype Terry. I've made a Terry analysis like a long while ago, but that was mainly just me talking about how I feel people overhype Terry. And so with those two things being said, you probably would assume that I think Ryu is the best out of all the fighting game characters. Well, no, that's a lie. I think Min Min's the greatest out of all the fighting game characters. But if we're talking about, the Shotos and Terry specifically, not counting Min Min, then yes, I do think Ryu is the best, and there are reasons for that. Now, this analysis is more so just my point of view on the character. Of course, you can have your own take of the character, and, I mean, hey, it's a matter of difference of opinion, and I should say that I do main this character, so I do study a lot about this character, because obviously it's a character that if I play, to win, right? So let's get started. So let's talk about moveset, first of all. Obviously, when it comes to Ryu, well, let's just talk about movement first rather than the moveset. In terms of movement, he's not that fast compared to Terry or Ken. Ken and Terry are both faster than him, I believe, in both. I know Ken is faster in walk speed and dash speed, but I think for Terry it's walk speed and dash speed too. I keep forgetting the exact numbers, but essentially all you need to know is that they're much faster. And Terry is a bit heavier than Ryu and Ken, so there's that. Also, airspeed, Ryu and Ken, they move pretty decently fast in the air. However, obviously, when it comes to Terry here, he definitely moves around a lot more. I feel like him in the air, it doesn't move as fast. Like, maybe it's just me, but like whenever I play Terry, he kind of feels a bit sluggish in the air. But most of the time, you're basically being grounded with the character, unless you're up close, and then you're just going. You're just going funny move. Hey, I mean, I don't blame you. Chop is busted. Anyways, so with Ryu, obviously he's slower and he's lighter than Terry. So when it comes to movement, you would assume he'd be bad, right? Well, here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember what tier Ryu was in Smash 4? A lot of people would say high tier or even top tier. Well, that's because, he had very strong tools. He had a very strong combo game, punish game rather. And, he was just really good at a lot of things, but he was also very slow in that game. And in that game, he was essentially like this neutral focused aggression type character. He was basically a mix of this game's Ryu and Ken, but now what they did was they split up Smash 4 Ryu and basically took the neutral and the zoning with Ryu and the aggression with Ken and kind of just multiplied it by 2 essentially for the characters, right? And originally these characters used to suck. There was only one good thing about them at the start of the game, and that was heavy down tilt would cancel into jump. No joke, that was so busted, except no it wasn't, because it was on day 1 Shotos, and day 1 Shotos sucked. but they removed it, and you know, over the course, these characters have been getting a lot of buffs. Let's talk about some of the buffs before we really start getting into things. So what were some of the buffs? Well, one, Shoryuken got priority. What I mean by that is that, for instance, Chrom Jab could literally clank with Shoryuken. That kind of sucked. Proximity Heavy Jab. This move before just used to be heavy up tilt, but up close. So there was basically no point in using it because most people weren't really going to use roundhouse all too often. And I mean, if you're like, why would you want to use this, you know, when I could just throw out this and get it guaranteed versus this where I can accidentally get roundhouse? So they essentially gave, they essentially gave Ryu and Ken, obviously, this heavy jab that doesn't really send anywhere. Even if I set the CPU to 999, I mean, it just won't kill. It just won't kill. Another thing they buffed is they gave intangibility to both legs of Tatsu. That's nice. They've increased some hitboxes on some moves like F tilt, for example. F tilt has a way bigger hitbox than you're led to believe. Another thing is they buffed up Tatsu. They changed the angle of heavy down tilt, so it becomes easier to combo into Tatsu. However, there's some counterplay and there's counterplay. So you know, I'll talk about that too as well. You know, for Ryu specifically, so Ryu and Ken used to share the same fireball speed, but Ryu's were always stronger. However, what they did now is that, I believe it was in 3.1, or it was the hero or the banjo patch, where essentially Ryu had faster and slower fireball. So light fireball doesn't really go anywhere, and heavy fireball goes really fast. Medium fireball didn't change. If you want to know how to essentially get medium, you have to essentially release the button before the projectile comes out, but without tapping it. So it's like kind of like this small frame window, but still, you know, that's 3 different speeds to mix up. And of course you have that with shotgunettes and input Hadouken, right? So that's always nice. Another thing that they basically gave to Ryu and Ken compared to Smash 4 is that, unlike in Smash 4, you can cancel off of aerials now, which is extremely good. I mean, for Ryu's case, he can even cancel his up air. Now both hits are cancelable, so I can cancel from first hit, or I can cancel off of second hit, which is nice. So that's nice. That's dandy, con candy. What else did they really get buffed that's like major? Well, not much really. Like, those were kind of the major things. I mean, it's not like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, except that. So yeah, in the Byleth patch, they essentially gave Ryu and Ken the ability to cancel off of their down smash. Before you couldn't cancel off of down smash, but now you can. And mind you, down smash is frame 5. So that's always nice. It's a pretty fast down smash, and even 2 frames on most characters unless they have an extremely low ledge animation. And it's, like I said, it's just fast. It has a bigger hitbox at the end of his foot, so be mindful of that. Hey, you know, hey, maybe they can give this the ability to cancel. Haha. All right, enough of the jokes. And you know, with this down smash change, something else accidentally came of it, and we'll talk about that when we get to that. So let's just talk about general moveset. Of course, Ryu normally doesn't have the biggest of buttons outside of this meaty move. However, you do have your heavy moves. Now, some may say, well, they're not as good because they're laggier if you just throw them out versus Terry. I mean, if I try throwing out heavy up tilt versus Terry's up tilt, it's obviously Terry can spam out more than I can throw, you know, Ryu's heavy up tilt, which is you know, obviously it's kind of bad. However, it should be noted that it's okay to throw out moves, because if your opponent tries to, you know, approach you, you can obviously go for a whiff punish and get damage that way. And if you hit their shield, well, guess what? It doesn't matter how laggy a move is, because if it hits their shield, well then, boom, bing, bang, you can cancel into a special move. And if you cancel into focus, focus has frame one armor, and it's a one-hit armor. And most moves out of shield aren't really going to break that armor, right? Like if your opponent throws out a quick OS option, most of the time it won't be a move that is a strong enough hit to break through it. Of course, there are multi-hits to consider, and if you get hit with a multi-hit, then obviously you're gonna be in a bad spot because it can only take one hit. So there you go, be mindful of that. So essentially Ryu has access to small and big buttons, and these big buttons are pretty big. I mean, take a look at this heavy up tilt. This heavy up tilt, it's pretty strong. Now, it's not hitting Terry, however, it can hit shield. So if they're worried about you up airing them or whatever the case may be, they'll probably shield, and you can just poke them with a heavy up tilt. And like I said, you can cancel this into a focus, which is pretty good. You don't really want to cancel it into, like, I say Hadouken because it has some lag. And Shoryuken can leave you punishable, and so can Tatsu on occasion. It should also be noted that Tatsu is essentially like Adult Link's up B, where if you block it, you don't have to block the rest of it. Though also be mindful, against some characters, there is not much you can really do unless and I mean in terms of out of shield options against it, because for some characters they won't be able to hit Ryu, and other times if you try to go for a grab, for instance, Terry can grab, but other characters like Ness or Luigi, they'll have to wait a bit to punish it, and if they mess up their timing, obviously then Ryu can just get away scot-free. But it's something to keep note of. So essentially, if Ryu hits you with that on your shield, you obviously want to go with something like a down air, or like an aerial basically, or a move that hits really high, or a kill move, whatever the case may be. But just know that once you shield it, it's over. They'll be mindful that because of the intangibility patch, you can use this to essentially go over projectiles such as PK Fire, and you can even beat out projectiles such as a fully charged shot Samus charge shot, right? Or their missiles. So be mindful of that. Now let's talk about what Ryu can do in different ranges. So when it comes to far range, obviously he has these fireballs, right? And as you've been shown, he has 3 variations with 3 speeds for each variation. And what are the 3 variations? We'll just remind you: non-input Hadouken, input Hadouken, and Shakunetsu. Now, the thing about Shakunetsu, and it's important to know this, is that when it comes to zoning, you really just want to throw out a mix of these 2 projectiles. This and this. Why is that? Well, that's because Shakunetsu doesn't really have that good of priority. It's very weak, and a lot of people basically say that because you can jab right through it, it's a useless projectile, but that is far from the truth. When it comes to using a projectile, in the case of Shoto's, you want to use it to essentially bait out your opponent. Their playstyle, their archetype is essentially bait and punish, right? You throw out options and you whiff punish the opponent. You generally want the opponent to come to you, and it's very easy in the case of Ryu. With Ken, unfortunately, he can try to bait you in to get closer to him, but eventually he's the one who has to approach. But with Ryu, he can just sit back and throw out a projectile, and like I said, this move has more priority, so when it comes to beating out the opponent's moves, obviously it's gonna work. And like I said, you have 3 different speeds. Obviously, if you keep throwing out heavies, they're gonna know the timing and they're gonna hit it, versus just throwing out, even if you throw out just a medium fireball, obviously it's gonna mess up with their timing and they're probably gonna get hit. And the best part about these fireballs is that if you know they're gonna hit, or if you know they're forced to, if they're gonna shield it or whatever the case may be, you can get a punish off of it or a combo off of it. So like that focus wasn't true, but you can get what I'm saying, right? You can essentially get a punish for throwing out a fireball, and the best part is that if they shield, well then obviously they're gonna have a tough time with their lives, because if they shield, you're gonna be on top of them, and there are even guaranteed shield break setups in the case of Ryu, using some tricks. Like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit when we get to ledge trapping. But it should be noted that when you throw out a fireball, please make sure to throw out one in the air, because when you throw out a fireball in the air, you can actually drift forward and back. So here's me drifting forward, and here's me drifting back. So you can essentially just throw out a projectile, and if, say, a character with like a sword, for instance, tries to jump over and hit you, you can drift back and avoid the attack. Perhaps it's, you know, it's pretty nifty. And of course, if you want to apply pressure, then you can move forward with the projectile. That's great. All right, and in the case of Shakunetsu, obviously, because of its multi-hitting properties, it's going to be something to be afraid of, right? So, man, offline, I miss you, bro. I miss you. But when it comes to just throwing out a fireball, it in itself is pressure. And of course, these projectiles, they're not like small range projectiles. I mean, these projectiles basically go over half of battlefield, right? Even the light goes over half of battlefield. So be mindful of that. They're not, you know, they're not that short range projectiles. So that's pretty good, all things considered. And hey, if you're good with timing, you can just spam these out repeatedly. Just don't try to go too crazy with that. So yeah, there's that. But still, when it comes to zoning and pressure from long range, Ryu's pretty good to go, because obviously he can just throw out moves and you're essentially forced to approach. This is why speed's not really an issue, and even if it was, well, you have various ways of getting in. Not only do you have a projectile, but you also have focus attack. All right, and focus attack carries your momentum. So if I jump forward, focus is going to move forward, and you can dash cancel by pressing double forward or back. So, and you can even fake out with the focus. You can also just go forward and back, go back and forward. So you can essentially, and you can cover a lot of space, right? Like I'm on this projectile. I'm on this platform, and I moved a pretty far distance, right? So when it comes to movement, you gotta know how to use, you know, your focus, your projectiles. You got to know how to essentially get in and get out, bait the opponent towards you. If they're trying to get to you, apply pressure from a distance, so when they do get to you, they might make a mistake or two because they're just trying to hit you. Your opponent's probably frustrated, and obviously you're gonna hit them with either a heavy up tilt, right? Because if they're up close, you got a lot of moves when they're up close to you. You got heavy up tilt. If they try to jump on you, this is an effective anti-air. And if you want to go for something sneaky, just spot dodge cancel, heavy up tilt, or spot dodge cancel, proximity jab. It's essentially works the same way as Terry's spot dodge attack. However, obviously you can get a big punish off of it right then and there. So that's nice to know. Of course, you also have this move. This is the cheater move. All right, a lot of people say, hey, you know what? Terry got this move. Move busted. You know what? Ryu and Ken have the same thing. It's called light F tilt. All right, light F tilt, extremely good. So if your opponent tries to approach you, if they're trying to get near you, this is essentially your sword, this trusty sword. And this sword is so trusty, in fact, that the hitbox is essentially massive. All right, I'm gonna slow things down. All right, let's slow things down here. All right, see that? My foot ain't even touching him. And of course, you can go for a dash slide, like this slide here. So you slide with it, and if you slide with it, you can get some incredible punishes off of this. Maybe like a back air or whatever, or even like a nair, a down air. You can get some incredible combos. Obviously the combo meter didn't say combo, but be mindful that a lot of characters don't really have frame 1 options to escape. Most of the time it's a frame 3 spot dodge or an aerial, and in the case of other characters they have frame 2, though those are very far and few in between, and some characters have 4. So, you know, even though the combo doesn't say it's true, doesn't mean it's actually not true, you know what I mean? So be mindful of that. Of course there is DI to take into account, but if you're using this move to essentially space out, and if your punch has to get in, then obviously they're probably going to get hit, and they're probably going to be DIing in by accident, and thus they're going to get hit. So be mindful of that. And, you know, with this, you know, essentially Ryu has really good mid-range. And then when it comes to up close, obviously, you have a lot of strong moves there. You also have a lot of good poking moves with, say, like heavy down tilt, which is pretty good. Of course, I believe this thing can poke shields. It can, you know, some people will say, well, you're never going to find a situation where they're going to be that low in shield. However, with Ryu, that will be something that will happen to you often, as a matter of fact, because obviously there was one patch where they reduced the shield damage of projectiles, but I mean while that's true, there was a patch that did that. Here's the thing. You're gonna find that when Ryu throws out projectile, if you block it right, Ryu's gonna get in. And Ryu has a plethora of ways of pressuring you on shield that even if you try going for an attack, or whatever the case may be, you will get punished with a move. Whether he dash cancels an F tilt, pivot cancels an F tilt, whatever. I forget the exact terms all the time, but you know what I'm trying to say. Or whether he tries to go for something cheeky like collarbone breaker, which by the way has no momentum when you do that. Just be mindful of that. But still, you know, they can probably go for something cheeky or even for a grab, which I know some people may say, well, you don't get anything off of grab. Well, that's not necessarily true. On platforms, you can, at like 20-30%, put the opponent on a platform, which is still pretty useful. All right, and I'm gonna get to platform pressure in a little bit too, but you know, so the throws aren't really useless, and at 0 you can get a true combo on fast fallers, so be mindful of that, and big bodies. So just want to let y'all know that. But yeah, when it comes to mid-range, close range, and even far range, Ryu has pretty much a lot of good options. Of course, this character does have flaws, and we will get to those, but for the most part, he has a way to deal with different ranges, and he can pressure you in all of those ranges, right? Another thing to keep note of is some of you may say, well, Sab, I can just, you know, you say this about Shakunetsu, for instance, but I could just parry Shakunetsu, right? That is something I can do. All right. Well, I'm sorry to ruin your dreams there, buddy, but you can't parry this move. What do I mean by this? Well, in patch 3.0, they had this thing where if you parry a projectile, you can move instantaneously. But the problem was, it only worked on training mode. Whoops. But now it works in the game overall. So if you parry projectile, then you get to move a lot faster. All right. Here's the problem. If you try parrying Shakunetsu, you still get hit. So what are you supposed to do? Well, you can either try parrying again, or you have to shield, which isn't fun. It isn't fun. Or you get hit, and Ryu, like I said, can get a combo off of you parrying, off of you doing the correct thing. You can get punished for that. That's amazing. I love that. So yeah, if you do the correct option against dealing with projectiles, you actually get punished for it. Of course, unless you're a funny Mithra or Bayonetta who can escape that sort of pressure, but those are only like character specific stuff. Yeah, be mindful of that. Now let's talk about ledge trapping. So be mindful that in this video I don't have the training mode mod pack, so there are things that I won't be able to show too well, and you're just gonna have to take my word for it. So hopefully you can. But if I've let's just talk about ledge trapping. So ledge trapping, obviously, if your opponent, and we're not going to be talking about edge guarding, because let's face it, Ryu doesn't have the greatest edge guarding. You can try going for a back air, and since you can cancel, if you hit it, you can recover pretty safely, or you can go for a focus and dash cancel, or you can throw out projectiles off stage. But when it comes to edge guarding, Ryu's not that great. It's possible for him. His Nair has tons of priority and can beat out a surprising amount of moves. It clanks with a lot of moves, in fact. Like, for instance, it clanks with a bunch of swords. It clanks with things like Shadow Flare and stuff like that. So be mindful, you know, you got a pretty good nair, but you're not really going to be going that deep unless you want to, you know, you want to style, essentially. But anyways, so when it comes to ledge trapping, you have a few things, but one of the main things is you want to cover options, right? I mean, it's why Snake's ledge trapping is so good, is because he has the tools to cover various options, be it trying to jump, roll, attack, normal get up, delay, right? You just sit here and wait, essentially. Maybe you want to go for fall off and then do like an aerial, whatnot. Ryu has different options of dealing with that, right? So when it comes to ledge trapping, you have a few things up your sleeve. First of all, I know I said this before, but you have your projectile. Because of its slow speed, you can essentially throw this out while they're at ledge and essentially cover jump, normal get up, and if they roll, well, guess what? You have funny auto turn, which, you know, and if, say, Terry here tries to roll, I could just punish him for rolling, right? Because the game allows me to do that, all right? So you essentially have this. You also have another way of dealing with pesky recoveries, which is side B to ledge. This is extremely good. This is a Smash 4 thing. Now, I don't know how many of you guys do or don't know this, but when you hold down, you don't actually grab the ledge. Like, I'm holding down there, they won't work. Even if I Shoryuken and I hold down, I won't grab ledge, as you see there. And when you do Tatsu at ledge, you're gonna instantly grab that ledge once Ryu sort of reaches down there. However, if you hold down during this, you can mess up people's days. And if you know the exact timing, you can go pretty low while still being able to grab ledge. So even if they get past you, well, guess what? You instantly snap and you can go for like a back air, right? So that's extremely good. But be mindful that against some recoveries, obviously you will get hit and you will need to play around that. But otherwise, for a good majority of recoveries, they're gonna get hit by this and they either got attack or they'll be sent flying away. Either way, they're gonna be put in a bad position if you go for that. So hopefully, you know, for new Ryu or new Ryu, even Ken mains, if you never knew you could do that, well, there you go. Hopefully that helps. It's very powerful. It's surprisingly very powerful, because a lot of the times Ryu mains will just go for, like I mentioned, shotgun hits at ledge, maybe even down smash for hitting opponents under ledge or whatever, right? But you have that. Of course, there is one other thing that you do have when it comes to ledge trapping, and that is your down smash. So, and I don't mean if they roll and then you just, you know, auto turn down smash and hit them. This is really gonna be one of those things where it's like, okay, this is gonna be strange to explain for people who don't know about this, but we have what is known as a late card cancel, but we just call it card cancel because who wants to say late card cancel? All right, so card cancel is very simple. During your down smash, you can cancel your down smash with an input. There you go. You can do this instantaneously. There you go. And as long as you can pull off the special move quick enough, you will get a projectile. Or not projectile, but any of one of your special moves that isn't just a normal B input. So focus attack won't be able to be done with this. But in the case of Ken, he can do crescent and roundhouse. So be mindful of that. By the way, I did just get a new controller, so the timing might be a bit weird for me. I'm still trying to get used to this controller, because man, my old Giga controller was busted up. But regardless, by having this, you essentially can cover multiple options, right? If they do a normal get up, you can obviously go for, say, a Tatsu, or you can go for a Shoryuken, or if they get up attack, you can go for a Shoryuken. That's pretty nice and dandy. If they jump, you hit them with Shoryu anyways. If they try to roll, well, you can turn around Shoryuken. So that's pretty helpful. Of course, some people will see it as, well, unlike Ken's, Ryu's Shoryuken isn't very strong at the near the end of it, right? It's just extremely strong up close, but further away, you know, like during the actual upward motion, not that strong. I agree, they should make it stronger, but even still, it's still a good move to throw out, right? Because if it hits, and it will hit because you're doing it on reaction. This is purely offline, by the way. There's no way you're gonna react by doing this. All right, there's no way you're gonna react. All right, if you see a show domain post on Twitter, look what I got, bro. I got the reactions, bro. Then you should follow them immediately. Unfollow them. They're frauds. Okay. There's no way you're gonna do that on reaction online. There's just no way, right? But hey, you know what? At least this has intangibility, which means if they try getting up attacking, they're gonna get hit for it. And this kills, by the way, just so you remember. Now, so let's talk about one more piece of pressure. All right, that is, you know, platforms. So platforms, of course, not every stage has the most convenient of platforms, and in the case of FD, there are no platforms. But what do you have on platforms? Well, when it comes to your opponent being on a platform, of course, you can threaten them with a fireball that hits so low to the ground, to the ground of the platform, that they're forced to jump, and you can hit them, you can jump raid them, whatever the case may be. Or if they shield, then again, if they shield, you hit their shield and you pressure from there. And if they get knocked down, of course, this is where things get real special. Well, do a rising focus. Rising focus is very good in these situations because no matter what option they do, if they roll away, they get hit. If they roll behind, they get hit. If they do get up attack, well, guess what? They get hit unless you're Captain Falcon, who has a 2-hitting get up attack, but only when he's on his back. It's really oddly specific, but still, you know, no matter what option they do, normal, get up, whatever, they'll get hit with focus. And of course, if they try to delay it, it becomes worse for them, because for focus, if you get second hit, obviously you can combo off of it. So that's nice and dandy, like cotton candy. All right. So when it comes to the ledge, when it comes to any platform, it's really good to just use focus. And of course, some of you may say, well, if it's on larger plats, then it's not going to hit. But I regret to inform you, the massive range of this move. Allow me to demonstrate. All right, maybe that didn't convince you. I don't blame you. The thing about focused attack is that its range differs on which level, of course. But still pretty big, I'd say. Of course, if you somehow manage to get level 3, which is possible, as long as you keep mixing up your focus attacks, right, do some fake outs here and there, your opponent might panic shield at one point and get hit with focus level 3, which, if you don't know, focus level 3 goes through shields. And look at that range! So, you know, obviously, if you know how to mix up your focus timing, you're gonna hit him, you're gonna catch him, and you know, there's a favorite combo I like to do with that, and I'll be showing that off at the end of this little video. But all right, let's move on to disadvantage. So when it comes to disadvantage, characters that usually beat out Shotos and Ryu, it's usually zoners with very, very strong zoning. Ryu's gonna have a tough time against them, but it's not impossible. It's just gonna be very tough. When it comes to character swordies, obviously swordies can outrange you, so you have to be even more precise and more careful of what you do, but again, not impossible to deal with. However, once they get hit, once Ryu gets hit, obviously he's gonna be sent flying, and when it comes to recovery, you don't have that many options, or do you? Well, let's talk about what you have off stage. So first, obviously you have Tatsu, obviously you have Shoryuken, but you can also use Hadouken one time to delay yourself in the air, And you can also use focus to delay yourself in the air. And of course, if you do a rising focus, then if your opponent tries to hit you with like a single hit or whatever the case may be, you can go for that. Or something I like to do, I like to rising focus towards the stage and reverse up B. And the reason why you want to reverse up B is because if they're at ledge and I hit them, all right, they're gonna be sent flying the other way, which is nice. Whereas if I do it normally, they're gonna get hit inside the stage, and I don't want that. All right, I want to put them in a worse spot. I don't want to put myself in a worse spot, right? Of course, as you saw there, it does hit under ledge, which is pretty good. However, it can be a detriment in some cases, like with Mithra, for example. But again, that's all character-specific stuff anyway, so I'm not going to get into that. However, when it comes to recovery, you do have options, but the most important option you have is your double jump. Without your double jump, it's gonna be a pain for you to recover. So please make sure to save that double jump. I mean, that should be noted for any character you play, but your double jump is probably one of your best recovery moves for any character, and for some characters it's their only good recovery move. But you know, you have to save your jumps. All right, if you have no choice but to use it, that's fine, but use it sparingly. Don't try to immediately jump, because then you're just going to put yourself in a worse off position, especially if all you can do is Tatsu to ledge. Because if a character has a counter, they'll hit you. If a character has a move that can, like a disjoint, it'll hit you. So please be careful with that, okay? Please, for my sake. All right, now let's talk about degenerate stuff. All right, this is the only degenerate thing here, okay? With Ken, it's even more degenerate because you have like less lag, but with Ryu, you can do fake out shoryukens. So fake out shoryukens is something you've probably seen me do on occasions if you played against me. And it should be noted that there are 3 inputs for shoryuken. I forget the third one all the time, but the base one is obviously forward, down, angle, down. So if you do that, there you go. However, there is another one which is double diagonal. So if you don't like doing the normal input, you can always go for double diagonal, which is helpful. And of course, if you do it as a recovery move, you'll get summon, you get some intangibility, you get full body intangibility and all this sort of stuff. And of course it's stronger, but I normally just go for regular up B when it comes to recovery. But anyways, you know, when you do input, you have way less lag than you would normally. All right, so let's slow things down a little bit. You'll see what I mean. So I'm just gonna throw out a light heavy and holding shield. I mean light, no input light. I got some lag there. However, if I do double diagonal, if the game allows me to, okay, never mind. I'm just gonna go for regular. You have way less lag. So you can essentially mix up your timings there if you want to, and essentially mess with the opponent. Of course, if you go for full on heavy, you can get on platforms, so that is a benefit. But this is some degenerate stuff, all right? And consider the fact that you have a frame 5 down smash. If they try to like run up to you, right, down smash, and if you really want to mess with them, then you know, you can go for down smash, sure you can. That's degenerate stuff. Okay, so if you want to be a pure degenerate, there you go, have fun with that. It should also be noted, I almost forgot to mention this, but I think I mentioned this in the beginning, but if you parry something with Ryuken, and Terry I also believe has this, if you parry something and it crosses up, then Ryu and Ken will automatically face to the opponent, which is something that they only have and no other character does. So hey, even when you parry, you got some advantages there, so be happy with that. Basically, your opponent can't cross you up if you parry. That's nice and dandy like cotton candy. Either way, I mean, still cheats. All right, now with that all being said, there's obviously combos and stuff like that. Let's talk about shield pressure. shield pressure is one other last thing. I already talked about like your projectile and throwing it out, right? Because if you do it like with a short hop low to the ground, you can get some pressure there. There's one other means of pressure, and that is with focus attack. Focus attack can be plus on block and super plus on block. I'm not talking like +1, +2, no, like it can be up to +6 or 9, I think, like up to 9, I believe, which allows Ryu to get guaranteed shield break setups. And of course, because of his large range on his focus attack, which by the way is larger than Ken's by a long shot, you can essentially force situations where they're probably gonna get shield broken. No joke, like there is no escape from getting shield broken. All right, like if I timed that even better, I think that one was it. That was true. Like their shield broke and there's nothing they can do about it. All right, and of course you can also do this with just descending the focus. Though, I mean, hey, you know, focus does a lot of shield damage, but you kind of get my point, right? You can descend with it, so there you go. And of course, if you descend with it, you have less lag anyway, so even if it's like -1 or 2 or 3, whatever, you still basically have the advantage. So hey, have fun with that, of course. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about before I leave off with you guys, you know, because obviously I don't really like making these analysis too lengthy, and there are a lot of other channels that cover these characters better than I can. As a matter of fact, some of the things I covered are things that they talked about, so I'll be linking a lot of Shoto channels down below in the description if you want to learn more about Ryu and Ken. There's even one guy who in particular is literally just doing Ryu, so that's helpful. However, earlier in the video I said I was going to show you one of my favorite combos to do with focus attack and with focus 3, and here it is. Whoops, messed it up. You can get focus 2 from focus 3. That's how much time you have. All right, and if they're even at a farther range, you can even get the late or the farther hit of down smash, because up close down smash sends them upward, but if you send them far away, right, you can go for a Hadouken. And most people, when they get hit off stage, especially like when being slid off like that, they'll probably jump on instinct and you can get a down air. There's some other combos you can do from focus. Obviously, if you get focus as a punish, even from focus 2, you can go for double dunk, which is nice and dandy. All right, even on mid stage, if you do get down air, you can obviously go for a second down air if you're low to the ground, and you can cancel into a special move. With projectiles, obviously you can throw out a move, go for a back air, up air, nair. You can even do something like shokunets into nair shaku, which, all right, I am not getting on Terry here, but all right, you know what, man, I need offline back so I could do these analysis even better. But there you go, there's a true combo right there. All right, it's I'm not getting it. I'm becoming a fraud in my own video, but you saw a true combo, and with nair, as long as you get strong hit, you can cancel. If you get weak hit, you can't, so be mindful of that. Like, I'm just gonna like strong immediately, but if I do it late, I'm mashing up B, not gonna work. So that's something to keep note of. Of course, nair at mid percents can cause knockdowns, and if your opponent tries to your opponent might not see that coming, and so obviously if they get knocked down, then you know, you put them in tumble or whatever, and when you do, you can go for a jab lock. I don't know why Ryu turned around there, but you can go for a jab lock. Be mindful on Fire Emblem characters for whatever reason, or the like really thin characters, you can only get one proximity F tilt, so then you want to go proximity F tilt, down tilt Tatsu, or down tilt Shoryuken, whatever. But with other characters, you can get away with just doing this, which is pretty helpful. and some characters you can only do this, so you can't even go for the final, like the final heavy proximity jab. You have to go for a third proximity F tilt. So hopefully that's some stuff you should know. And here it says you can also go for, if like on platforms, you can push off the opponent if you jab block them on a platform, and you can go for something like this, right? That's nice. And if you want to play the Wild West, you can force some stare downs, and then you can go for an unreactable Tatsu. If I can, there you go. So you can go for that. That's always fun. And with that, I think that's it, really. There is one more degenerate thing I want to talk about, by the way, and that is focus taunting. I once made a joke video about it. I think I enlisted it because I wanted to make a better version of it, I think, but maybe it's still up on my channel. But either way, say you're on quick play, you hit someone with a focus 2 or 3, right? If you're a real degenerate, all right, if you're a real degenerate, obviously on quick play, you can't really go for taunts, because on quick play you don't have access to them. But hey, if you really want to be a degenerate, obviously focus 3, you have even more time to be a degenerate. And if you want, hey, you know, you want to make it look cool if you get a focus 3, hey, you know, if you want to do that, that's fun, isn't it? But I think that's really it. Oh yeah, here it is on my notes. So basically, just one little thing for show domains, because I've had this happen to me so often. I don't know how often it happens to other people, but it's just something to keep note of. Usually when it comes to SDI, unlike Ken, Ryu isn't affected too much, unlike Ken. So it's not something you have to worry about, but when it comes to regular DI, it is something you have to worry about. So if, say, your opponent, like, say you hit them with down tilt, obviously, if they know how to DI, if you try going for, like, you know, heavy down tilt, Tatsumaki, if they know how to DI correctly, most people won't get hit by it. They'll be hit too far away, and then they'll spot dodge and roll away, essentially, and they'll be safe. However, you can bait this. Instead of just going immediately into the Tatsu, you can just run forward and chase them, so that's helpful. Or if they try jumping, well, then you can catch them, all right, as long as you're quick enough. So that is just something I wanted to bring up, because obviously having down tilt Tatsu, very strong confirm, you know, especially from a distance, right? You know, because Shoryuken does have its sweet spot is up here, but of course you might not get the sweet spot at times. So especially from a distance, like from this range, obviously you really want to hit that kill confirm, and so you do have down tilt Tatsu, for instance. But like I said, be mindful of that. Hopefully though, this gives you a good overview of Ryu, and I do want to make a Ken analysis, and then thereafter make direct comparisons to Ryu, Ken, and Terry. I truly do believe Ryu is better than Ken and Terry. This is my own personal beliefs, and you know, you can disagree if you want to, and that's perfectly fine. I understand that there are reasons why people think that these characters, why Terry might be stronger, why Ken might be stronger, but I personally believe, as someone who has played all these 3 characters, has played against all these characters, has watched these characters, I truly do believe Ryu is the strongest out of the 3. Of course, if we're not counting Min Min, I think Ryu is definitely, he's definitely underrated. I'll say that much. I feel people need to give him a chance, because obviously he's slow, and not many people want to play a slow character. People want to go with the fast, crazy ha-hoo-hee-ha combo character, whatever the case may be. But you know, Ryu's got a lot of things. You know, he has multiple play styles. He has so much more to him than meets the eye, and I feel like a lot of people just aren't giving him the credit that Ryu honestly deserves. But hey, those are my thoughts and opinions. You can let me know yours in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Think I got stuff wrong? If that is the case, well, hey, you know what? Maybe it's just the way I play Ryu. Maybe my way of playing Ryu is a bit different from yours. You know, but you know, I mean, There might be some things I did get wrong, who knows. I tend to fumble up my words a little bit, even with notes. It's just sort of like, I have to like, I don't want to write out a whole script for an analysis. I just want to write out bullet points and that's it. But, you know, I think I've covered all the bases. You know, this is definitely the most in-depth analysis I've made compared to other characters because, hey, you know, this is a character I play and I want to be true and honest with my character. You know, for the longest time, I was just going to make it a thing where I didn't cover Ryuken until like they were the last two characters I had to cover. But you know what, I decided not to deprive that because I feel like I've been seeing a lot of people not trust or believe in Ryu. I definitely believe in this character and I hope that you do as well from my videos or not, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, I can't make you I can't make your opinions, you gotta make your own. But yeah, this one's definitely the most girthy one, I'll say that much. But with that, hopefully you got a good understanding of Ryu, and thank you for watching. You know, I know this is long, but I really appreciate it. Let's get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year, of course, and I hope you have I really do hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for watching again. Like, I really appreciate it. I know oftentimes I don't really, you know, I know it's one of those YouTuber things where it's like, oh yeah, guys, look, you know, I really hope you're doing fine, I really mean it. No, but like, I'm serious, like, because I know a lot of people tend to go through things, and so you know, I just, we all got our problems, but man, why am I getting so emotional? You know, I gotta, man, the path to true strength lies within. It lies in the fight, the pain, the power in my face. Ain't that right, Ryu? The journey has just begun. But yeah, please take care of yourselves, and as always, have an amazing rest of your day. Peace.
Coming through, partner, we can do this right. You're the fire, I'm the wind tonight. Burning dread, haha, that's right.